to a jet full of ammunition.
Yeah.
Still, we have insecurity ravaging. Victor, I'm particularly concerned about the fact that we always talk about what we want to do and not actually getting into it. And I feel like the reputation that comes from the coffers of the government as regards what they want to do, what the US is doing, what agreements they've gotten into, is getting pretty frustrating and annoying. The people do not have the patience for all these modalities you're putting in place. What they want is active solutions, proactivity from the government. And that's not too much to ask. People are still being kidnapped. It's just that we have a reduced report of the number of attacks that have gone on in several communities, even within the FCT. People are getting tired. It's looking as though, we have gotten used to the attack. All you need to do is, when you're getting out of your house in the morning, just pray so you don't become a victim of one of those numerous and senseless attacks across different parts of the country. That's not the way to live. A country has a structure, and it must abide by the structures that it's put in place. If it gets into a bilateral agreement with other countries, beautiful, but let us see the structures being implemented. From January up until March, we have seen countless attacks. At least 500 people are being kidnapped, at least. In one community alone, we had about 160 or even more being kidnapped. So it's unfortunate, and it's quite frustrating as well. Now, talking about bilateral agreements, we also know that the agreement or the visit of the president of Nigeria to the United States, the United Kingdom, rather, I keep saying the United States, to the United Kingdom, there's been lots of agreements that have been entered into by the Nigerian government and the United Kingdom as well. And one of the major agreements was for Nigeria to receive asylum seekers, offenders that are, particularly facing jail term out there, which opens a possible window for Ike Ekweremadu to also be released. Because according to that, I see here that the deal concluded during his president covers the return of failed asylum seekers, visa overstayers, and convicted offenders. And we know that Ike Ekweremadu is serving a 9-year jail term for organ trafficking, in the United States or the United Kingdom as well. So this is potentially creating a pathway for the release of Ike Ekweremadu. And the question has been, when he comes back to Nigeria, will he face his jail term? Or, because of the agreement, there's a pardon, some sort of a pardon between the United Kingdom and the Nigerian government have decided to pardon him for his crime. If yes, what does that say about the justice system? Not just in Nigeria at this point, but also that of the United Kingdom. There are many, many parts of this agreement, which of course will unravel as the week goes by during our conversations here on TV.
Very true. With that being said, let's give you a rundown of what to expect even further in the program this morning. We begin with this day in history, where we'll get to dig at deep histories and stories that shaped and continue to shape the world that we live in. And away from this day in history, we'll move straight to news study, where we'll get to unearth discoveries and breakthroughs that are reshaping our understanding of the world. And from there, we'll move straight to Did You Know, where we'll get to reveal surprising facts, hidden truths, and little-known wonders that spark curiosity and expand your perspective. And we'll move on from there to health tips, where we'll get to give you your daily dose of wellness wisdom, from smart habits to expert-backed advice. And of course, we'll move on to Tech Talk as well, where we'll also get to keep you updated on the happenings in the world of technology. From there, we'll move on to the 7:30 hour, where we'll get to review the Nigerian national dailies. And of course, at 8 o'clock, it will be time for the Human Chronicles, where we get to unveil stories behind humanity. And at 8:30, Victor Idoma is going to be here to give us sporting updates. And of course, also one of the results that broke the heart of many Arsenal fans yesterday, as we lost our game to Manchester City yesterday. It was a very, very heartbreaking game yesterday. So the display wasn't something that the Arsenal fans or even the Arsenal players, are all happy about. But of course, Victor Idoma is going to be here to give us a further update on that and keep us updated on the happenings in the world of sports. And of course, at 9 o'clock, we're back for the big conversation. This is with us. In just in a moment, we'll be back to continue with the program.
Time is power. Our lives are powered by the sun. As the sun rises, so do we. As we trust it to rise and set without any worries interrupting your morning. With our hybrid all-in-one inverter, powering our prosperity and happiness.
shell. Start time solar.
But also nurture what is dear to us, powering trust and support, empowering us to do things that really matters. Start Times Solar. Power your life.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on Star Times Channel 176, Nightcomsat. On Rapid FM, we speak your language from the soulful airwaves of Umuahia to the vibrant culture of Port Harcourt and beyond. More than broadcasters, we're creators, amplifying that voice within with powerful content across TV, radio, and digital. Join us at rbnradiotv.com and all our social media handles. One network, one voice. Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN, the sound of your city. Rooted in truth, driven by impact.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're moving straight now to Today in History. As Today in History is World Meteorological Day. This happens every March 23rd. Every year on this particular day, the world celebrates the World Meteorological Day. And this day marks the creation of the World Meteorological Organization in 1950. The organization was set up to help countries work together on weather, climate, and water information. And this, of course, helps us understand things like rainfall, heat, storms, and climate change. And this matters because weather affects our daily lives, what we wear, how we travel, and even our safety. And so good weather information helps us to warn people about floods and storms, support farming and food production, also helps to protect lives and property, especially within this particular time here in Nigeria, where the heat has been very, very enormous and massive. With weather reports, we all get to know what to do at every point in time. And so today in history is World Meteorological Day.
And moving on to new study, today we're talking about something that I've always wondered about, curiosity, I would say, seen in sci-fi movies as well. Scientists have been able to bring mouse brains back to life after a cryosleep deep freeze, and scientists successfully restored the activities in a frozen mouse brain tissue using vitrification, which is a process of doing that. And vitrification is a method that prevents ice damage by turning tissue into a glass-like state. It's giving frozen, but after thawing, the brain cells remain intact and responsive, with signals linked to learning and memory still functioning after the brain was restored. Now, the discovery could improve organ preservation and brain injury treatment, but of course the human application and full cryosleep remains far from reality. And this is very important, of course, for organ preservations, like I stated earlier, because for people for organ transplants, right, there's a lot that goes on when an organ is harvested to be transplanted into another body. Now, for some other organs, it takes about 4 to 6 hours before it becomes unfit to be transplanted into a body. For some, it is 4 to 6 hours. I know for the heart it's 4 to 6. For the lungs, it's also 4 to 6 hours until it becomes unfit to be transplanted into another body. However, this development means that it can't be frozen until it wants to be in use. Because think about a donor giving a kidney or giving something, and because of preservation, it's not able, you cannot use it because it's not properly preserved, and because it has a period which it becomes unfit to be transplanted. So look at it as a step forward for medicine and preserving organs just before they are transplanted. So this is what scientists have discovered, and I think it's such a fantastic improvement.
Well, of course, moving on to Did You Know? I saw that a tech boss once used ChatGPT to help create a cancer vaccine for his dog, and this happened actually this year. And so according to the report, it says in 2026, Australian tech entrepreneur Paul Cunningham worked with a scientist after his dog was diagnosed with a serious cancer, and he used AI tools to study the dog's DNA, identify the cancer problem, help design a personalized mRNA vaccine. And so the treatment didn't fully cure the cancer, but it actually shrunk the tumors, improved the dog's health, helped the dog live even longer. And so it's important now to see that some of the important facts here is that ChatGPT did not create the vaccine alone, but we scientists, and labs did the medical work. AI only assisted in the process. And so just to add to that, that AI is becoming a powerful tool in medicine, but human experts are still in charge. So just in case someone heard this, did you know today and thought, okay, maybe now I can be a scientist or a doctor. No, you might not be able to do that, because he had to work with doctors, scientists, and of course, lab scientists to be able to ensure that that vaccine was created. However, AI just aided in some knowledge. But of course, the scientists were the ones who developed it and ensured that the vaccine was not developed properly in the laboratory. And that's what I have for you today.
Yes. It's also important to know that you can conceptualize ideas using ChatGPT. That didn't do the whole work, but it helped in creating the idea in the first place. It's just basically making use of these tools that are made accessible to you. Trying to start up a business, there's a chatbot you can ask. Trying to start up something and you're confused about the pathways you should follow. I think that we should embrace it. A lot of people are trying to embrace it, but if more people do, I think our jobs will be easier, literally. But moving on to health tips, today we're talking about managing freshness in hot weather. The season is upon us. The hot weather is right upon us. And I cannot begin to tell you the environmental hazards I have experienced throughout this heat period. But it's important that we know that hygiene has to be a habit, and it's something that we have to take on in our everyday life. And because the weather is hot, we need to understand what freshness in hot weather should be like. Now, why body freshness matters during this weather. First off, I am adding that it's your corporate social responsibility to make sure that everybody around you survives.
Yes.
Then, maintaining body freshness is an important part of personal hygiene. Now, in hot weather, increased sweating creates a moist environment where bacteria can thrive, which can lead to body odor and discomfort if not properly managed. It's not a time to bathe once a day. Now, areas to pay attention to during this hot weather. Sweat tends to build up more in areas like your armpits, your feet, your groin, and under the breast. Now, these areas require extra care to stay clean and fresh throughout the day. So when you're showering, these are areas that you need to pay proper attention to, especially because how do we call it? Especially because air does not get through these areas easily. And that's why it's important for you to wear breathable fabrics during the hot weather. Now, you need to maintain regular hygiene during this period. Bathe at least twice a day. Bathe at least twice a day, especially during the hot weather. Focus on cleaning sweat-prone areas thoroughly and dry your body properly after bathing. Some people take it a notch higher by using cotton wool and spirits or cotton wool and toners to just clean the areas that are prone to sweat regularly, just so that you also stay healthy. Remember, bacteria form in the moist areas, which means that your life can, or your health can also be at risk. Much more than caring for your environment, there's also caring about yourself and your health. Also, wear clean and breathable clothing. Choose the light fabrics like cotton and allow air circulation. Avoid wearing tight or unwashed clothes, as they can trap sweat and encourage body odor. It's not the time to wear your clothes twice or 3 times. It's important for you to become aware of what it smells like and throw it in the washing machine. All right. Now, stay dry and fresh throughout the day. Change out of sweaty clothes quickly. Use deodorant and antiperspirant, and consider carrying wipes or small towel to stay fresh when you are outdoors. Deodorant and antiperspirant, if you cannot afford that, there are other natural remedies that you can use. I talked about cotton wool and spirit, cotton wool and toners. It's important that you add this to your routine during this heat season. Also, you need to watch your diet and hydration. You need to drink plenty of water to help regulate your body temperature. Also, be mindful that certain foods and poor hydration can contribute to a stronger body odor. It's important for you. We have given you the basics. It's important to go check what foods you need to avoid during this period, and that's which you need to take up in your diet. And this is what we have for you today on Health Tips. Take it as serious as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm tempted to share an experience, but I think I'll just let that pass. But let's move on to Tech Talk this morning, and of course, bring you some of the tech trends that are making waves. Of course, also information in the world of technology. I will say that the 2026 World Happiness Report states that using social media too much can make people, especially those under 25, feel less happy. Now, the headline you see on your screen says social media linked to declining life satisfaction among youth, according to a report. Again, this report was done by the World Happiness Report, which says that using social media too much can make people, especially those under 25, feel less happy. This report is released every year during the International Day of Happiness, and it measures how happy people feel in different countries. And what they found is that many young people feel less satisfied with their lives. And this is more common in countries like the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Happiness among young people in these places has dropped over the last 10 years. Notice how Nigeria is not, in the top of this particular list, because I think that Nigerians use social media a lot. And one of the things that they find very common in the Nigerian social media space is the comedy skits. And so many times when Nigerians actually pick up their phone for social media scrolling, you get to hear lots of laughter coming out from there. But beyond that, they also get to do quite a lot using their social media, right? And social media creates pressure to always be online, according to the reason this report or the researchers found that as to why people are not being so satisfied is because, according to them, social media creates pressure to always be online, and people compare themselves to others even when it makes them feel bad. They still keep using it. Now, in fact, many young people say that they wish social media did not exist at all, but they use it because everyone else is using it. And of course, it's also important for us to know that social media can connect us, but too much of it can affect our happiness. And so it's important for you to know that balancing it is key to using it as well. So yes, as much as possible, use social media to the best of your ability, and as much as possible, do not judge your growth with another person's growth based on what you see on social media. The truth is, many things we see on social media are not real. They are not true. People are just creating, a form of illusion, what they want you to see as much as possible. So yeah, be happy, even in your own right. Away from that particular story, we also see that there's been a growing concern in the tech world about how online criminals operate on platforms like Telegram. Even when these illegal groups are shut down, they don't go they don't stay gone for long. And of course, what you can see on your screen is that Telegram users are facing rising cyber threats despite 43.5 million takedowns, according to reports. Now, what most of these groups do is that they create backup channels on Telegram. Once one of those channels is removed, they go back to another channel, and almost immediately they build their networks or rebuild their networks and their communities. According to experts from Checkpoint Software rather, they say that these criminals are becoming more advanced, and they now use smarter methods to avoid being caught. They change how they operate regularly, and they stay ahead of security efforts. And what this means is that even though Telegram is removing many harmful groups, the overall problem is still growing. And so the bottom line is that cybercrime is not slowing down. It is becoming more organized and harder to stop. And I mean, the government, not just in Nigeria, but of course the global world leaders has got to pay even more attention and do a lot more to ensure that cybercrime is reduced drastically, as these guys are always almost one step ahead. They're getting smarter by the day, to ensure that they carry out their cybercrime on various platforms. And Telegram has been one that's been seen to be very vulnerable, as multiple channels has been created by some of these criminals online. And just like we stated earlier on, once a group is being caught and brought down, the criminals move to another channel that they've created, begin to regroup, build their communities again, and continue with their criminal activities. And once that is being shut down, they move on to another channel, which makes it a lot more difficult for law enforcement agencies, to actually crack down on the activities that they do online. So let's all be careful and well guarded, even as we use our technological tools, globally. With that being said, this is all we're going to be taking on this segment of the program. We're going to